right, everybody, and welcome once again to the Appalachian Brewing Company podcast. It's Mike Parker here and Artie Mike coming to you. Well, I guess by the time this comes on, Artie, it's going to be late September, early October. We're over here in Mechanicsburg, and by the look of things, you guys are like really starting to get into like Oktoberfest time. Is that right?
Oh yeah, the places are all decorated, and we started Oktoberfest last weekend. Friday night was our first night, and the food is being prepared and nice. Produced, and the beers are flowing.
Beautiful,
sure.
Beautiful. I love it that it's close to home. So I actually have a friend who he's like a friend of a friend. But, you know, we're all friends on Facebook. Even people I met one time at a,
they're your friends.
They're my friends for 20
Close
years
friends,
on
right?
Facebook. Yeah. But a guy I used to go fishing with every once in a while. He's actually over in Munich right now, and he's posting all sorts of pictures. And it's like, I know you've been there before. Does it make you long to get back over there?
Yeah, it does. I want to get back at some point. We've had some pretty wild adventures over there. We've had a couple guys end up in the hospital and that type of thing. So we took a few years off. I mandatorily banned our group from going for a couple of years.
Your visas were restricted?
That's right.
Yeah, no, that's funny. I mean, it's kind of like every beer lover's dream to probably get over there at least once in a lifetime, but I don't know when that's going to happen for me. So I'll wait for the invitation when you guys get reinstated.
All right,
okay?
Yeah, you'll be in the group for sure.
Yeah, and I'll make sure, I'll keep an eye out. Maybe I can even be like the risk manager for the group so nobody ends up in the hospital again.
Yeah, we all sort of start out that way, but throughout the day you end up being basically a risk.
Willing to take on more risk.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. All right. Well, this is awesome. So I'm glad we were able to catch up. You did the booking for the podcast this week, Artie. You got us some A-list guests once again
That's
from
right.
from
I'm
another.
bringing them in, Mike. I
Beautiful.
got some good old friends. We've been together a long time. We've worked together. We visited each other's breweries for many years, and I'm happy to announce that we have Jason and Jen from Shy Bear Brewing here with us today.
Awesome. Welcome.
Hey guys, how are we doing?
Doing great. Hey, okay, so it's a beer podcast, all right? There's a bunch of brewers and business owners here, and it's I don't know what time it is, but it's always beer 30, right?
Yep.
Okay, so Artie, everybody cheers, and then we'll talk about what we got before we kick things off.
There we go.
Cheers.
Delicious.
Good stuff. All right, so
we won't disclose what time of day this is.
That's right. Yeah.
no, we never do.
It's
That's
got to be after 5.
it's confidential.
That's
So
fine.
as far as anybody needs to know. So Jason and Jen, so Shy Bear Brewing. Get us started. Where are you guys from? If we hear Shy Bear, where am I going?
Yeah, we're based in Lewistown, Pennsylvania, which is just about 25 miles south of State College, about an hour drive from here from Mechanicsburg. This is our 7th summer, so we will officially be 7 in March of next year, of 25. And it's been a journey. We're started out with humble ideas of what we wanted to do, and it kind of grew faster than we thought in the beginning, and now has just been on a collision course, if you will, of how do we fine-tune everything.
Nice. Is that accurate?
Yeah, it's been a lot of twists and turns throughout the 7 years, and I think and now it's just keeping up with the times, like every brewery needs to do, is just reinvent ourselves almost yearly, and try to do for each season, try to do something new to bring people in and keep it interesting.
Keep the brand fresh. Artie, that's what it's all about, right?
I'll tell you, and everybody in this industry there's a bunch of hard workers, and I will tell you this: you don't find too many harder workers than these two. I mean, we all work hard, but these two are seriously committed to their business and growing their business and keeping it fresh. All the stuff that you guys do up at Lewistown, Lewistown. Is amazing, and now I know you guys have grown a little bit more even, right? You opened another location not too long ago.
Yeah, it's now I can't believe it's 3 years.
Oh, wow.
Next month will be 3 years that we've been in Hershey at the Fresh Market downtown Hershey. Prior to that, we were in officially it was Palmyra, but it was really Grantville. We were in a farmer's market out there.
That's right. I was actually going to bring that up. That's where I was introduced to your brand for the first time. Was it's the Farmstead Farmers Market, which is like off of the exit 80 off of Interstate 81. And I happen to know the family. The Umbergers own that place. Like, he's a local guy. He lives like a property or two over from me, and they've got the farmers market. And I went in there the one day, and there used to be a guy that sold like old Nintendos and stuff. And he was gone, and all of a sudden there's a brewery there, and I'm like, "This is great! What an upgrade!"
Right. Anytime a brewery just appears, it's awesome.
Yeah, but it's like that's cool. And I over the years I tried several of your beers. When we can get into talking about that, but what's cool about that? So then you guys moved over, so you expanded. That was just sort of like I don't want to call it a sampler location, but you would go into a place like that, and I'd buy a 4-pack or something and take it home, and people would talk, and then next week I'd go in, and then you guys moved, and I found out you were over at the Fresh Market, right?
Yeah.
Did that? So was it a good experience, like in a place like that, and then moving and just found an opportunity for growth?
Both locations have shown that they were both very well worth the option. Just due to have both locations was going to be tough from a geographically close proximity to one another. So we had to make the choice of which one of those did we want to invest in. And it really came down to where did we find that we were going to get more foot traffic of people who were going to come and see us that did not know about us.
Right.
That became more of the focus than it was necessarily it wasn't really about not wanting to be at the farmstead. It was more of what exposure we were going to get in Hershey instead.
Gotcha.
Yeah, that Hershey market is just just the people that come to the park and the town.
Yeah,
it's just it's incredible.
Hershey itself, I'm surprised at people. Like when I drive through, I'm always curious as obviously you have the park there and stuff, but it's New Jersey license plates, it's New York license plates, it's Maryland license plates. Not more than Pennsylvania, but I mean, there's a lot of out of towners there, and I guess they come and spend the weekend. And for me, since I live there, I don't necessarily see, but they need somewhere. They probably get tired of driving around. They walk around. There's little places for them to tuck into, and they find a place like you. And obviously, you're selling some beer to new audiences. That must be pretty invaluable, huh?
Yeah, I mean, quite honestly, we need to get more people to know that location is a food destination and a food hall, essentially,
okay,
than it is a farmer's market, because I think that's a little bit, and that's part of the goal for us to create more awareness of what the fresh market is, because by the name, it would indicate that there is a farmer's market specific thing. Like, so people out of town, they're like, well, I don't need to get
corn,
fresh peas and carrots. I'm looking to get, I got a crew of people and we're hungry. So that I think there's a little bit of a distraction of the name of the place, to be honest with you. But obviously we want to be able to spread the gospel that is a fantastic place for food and for beer and for mid-state distilleries inside. And a ton of different other things in there. So it's like beverages for everybody, food for everybody, no matter what you want. And
I think it's great. You can eat there and you can drink there. So it's not just takeout.
Right.
There's tables in there, and you can have a beer with the food that you get. And so I think a lot of people don't know that either, because most markets are that you pick it up and you go, but you can stay there and eat. So that's a great part of it too.
Gotcha.
And Hershey is also open container. So by definition, you can actually leave with a beer in your hand and walk downtown Hershey.
Oh wow, I didn't know that. That's
good.
We found that out later. I mean,
that's how every town should be.
Really should be. Really should.
I don't know about everything.
Yeah, State College may be a problem.
Well, yeah. Anyway,
yeah.
So Artie, first of all, thank you for providing the beverages here today. Why don't we go around before we get any deeper into conversations? Tell us what we're drinking here. I can start off. I'm drinking the On Point Pilsner, 5.2, great Pilsner, classic style. It's I don't know, Artie. This is just that golden classic Pilsner beer. It's
a German style pils. Yeah,
it's delicious.
Yeah, we use a lot of German hops in that, and it's very nice. We produce it about 3 or 4 times a year. Nice lagering, about 2 months lagering on that, a little over that probably, and comes out nice and crisp and clean, the way you'd want your craft brewery Pilsner to taste. Yeah.
It's great. What do you got, Artie?
I got the Chasing Shadows. This is our sort of our fall hazy. Features our favorite of Sasquatch there, yeah, on the can, and just nice, super hazy in terms of the way it looks in the can. You can see it pour there, really nice. I love it. This is a blend of Citra, Mosaic, and Amarillo for the flavor, which just gives off a little bit of that pineapple and overripe, like stone fruit, pit fruit. So one of my favorites. Yeah. How about you guys? What'd you open up?
I'm drinking Better One Canned Cranberry Orange Sour. This one's a 4.5, which is always good for me.
Yeah, that's a good level,
yeah,
right?
Good
Session.
Yes, especially in the morning.
Jason's got the good. That's the.
Yeah, I got the Silver Stock Lime Lager. This is definitely hitting the spot right now. This is 4.3% alcohol, so that definitely helps with a day-long process of doing other things.
You're traveling today, so that's probably a good alcohol content for you.
Yeah, the lime is just enough. It's enough to know that it's there, but it doesn't overwhelm the whole crisp nature of what a lager should be. So, I mean, I drink that all day.
Let me tell you what, I did drink that all day recently. Well, I drank it. Well, I didn't drink it all day, but I drank it in the afternoon tailgating before the Luke Bryan concert. Did you hear about that?
Yeah.
So
a cattle farm or something.
Yeah, there's this cattle farm. I mean, so I guess he's got this thing. It's the farm tour. And if anybody doesn't know Luke Bryan, he's a country singer. He's pretty famous. I don't know. Is he on The Voice or something like that too, or is it?
I think he used to be.
Okay, all right. So everybody kind of knows who Luke Bryan is. I don't need to explain him. But like, I'm not a huge country music fan. But my son, he's 13. He's pretty into country. And all of a sudden, I get this notification like a couple months ago that Luke Bryan's coming to play in some field in our, like 4 miles from our house. And I was like, it's kind of interesting because he picked a farm. And I guess it's like a big cattle farm, and it's back along the mountain on like Route 443, kind of very near Hollywood Casino, which I thought was kind of interesting. So anyway, they had this, you go in there, they turn this farm into a concert venue. They bring in a big trailer that, they play off the back of, well, they bring in, they build a stage, and then they have all this stuff. But there's like, 20,000 people there. And obviously an opportunity to tailgate. So, last podcast, we talked about the Silver Stock Lime, and I took a 6-pack of it home. Didn't last very long, but that's what I wanted against. Actually, that's what I was drinking at the Luke Bryan concert.
Nice,
it was great. So it was in the perfect spot. But one thing I did notice in the middle of the concert, he said, "Hey," one of the opening acts says, he's like, "I want to give Luke Bryan, he's a guy that comes here and he'll play in the middle of nowhere." And I'm like, those lights over there from the casino where there's like a huge concert stage. And then if you go about 9 miles that direction, you have Hershey Park Stadium where there's a huge concert stage. I'm like, he could have just played one of those stages, but it was really all about the atmosphere. It was pretty fun. So if you guys had heard about that.
Yeah, we saw that, yeah.
Yeah, I think doesn't he donate money to farm?
Yes.
Something having to do with farms.
Absolutely.
I think that's great. So
yeah, so it was pretty cool. Anyway, so ABC represented there on the farm last week in Luke Bryan farm tour.
Awesome. Good.
Yeah.
Awesome.
All right. So guys, what are we talking about here when we have fall transitional beers? I know in the past you guys had a pumpkin beer that I tried. I don't know if you still have. Are you still into that?
Yeah, we do every year. It was almost a promise to our brewer that we would not make the same type of pumpkin beer at all. We would make a different version of it every year, and that was also adding to the creative process to not be stuck in a particular rut with something that seems to have, for the most part. I mean, people rely on certain flavors that they want to hit all the time, and there are a lot of and there are plenty of beers that we make year round that are more reliable in that way. But the pumpkin gave us a little bit of freedom to change it. So the whole series is named after one of our friends, cute Havanese puppy, like a Havanese
type of
like
mix.
Yeah, some sort of couture dog that and it was funny because when it was a puppy, that its nickname was Emmy Chainsaw because it would snore and it would just make this terrible sound when. So I said Emmy Chainsaw. I said that's got to be a beer name, and so that it started with just naming it after that, and then so what we did was Texas Chainsaw Massacre kind of imagery with this cute dog holding a chainsaw. And we're thinking, well, this now just creates this whole new series every year. So it's Emmy in a horror film mentality with around Halloween and everything like that. So that's how it all started. This year is Hellhound to be more of like the Hellraiser, Pinhead, and all of the people who are crazy about it, which is including our brewer who just absolutely loves these old 80s, 90s horror films. Nice. And so that's how that's this year's version. But last year we did a pumpkin sour, which was Emmy Voorhees, and it was it's just going in that.
Now you've made me remember the one that I tried a couple of years ago was called Emmy Kruger.
Yeah, Emmy Kruger. Yeah.
And that was like that had like a lactose
infusion
or something into it, right? Because it was like kind of like a creamy pumpkin beer.
Yep.
Yeah.
That one was that version was we did a Emmy Kruger. We also did Emmy Gorgon for the Stranger Things reference. That one, I think that was a coffee.
That was a coffee.
That was a pumpkin spice latte version.
That's good. Yeah.
And then this year's was a 8% pumpkin ale that was aged on Embriana wood, which is a Brazilian wood that has crazy amount of spice note. In fact, we didn't even add any cinnamon, nutmeg, cardamom, or anything to this beer this year.
You don't need it. That's right.
Wow.
It's crazy to think that all of that spice was coming from the wood. So that was this year's version.
Cool.
Yeah, it gives you almost like a gingerbread cookie type
no kidding.
Spice to it. Yeah, it's really nice. Yeah,
There's some crazy flavors out there that just like birch beer, right? You know, the birch tree, like that. It's just the flavors that come out of like when you taste birch beer. Like I remember being in the woods when I was a kid, and my uncle was like teaching me to hunt and things like that. And we'd come across a birch tree and he'd take like a sliver of it off there and he'd like chew on it, right? To like, and then when I learned about what you're actually like, you kind of close your eyes and think about what you're gathering from these like individual, like what becomes an extract that we add to things like that. But birch beer almost has it's almost like a peppermint in a way. But not, a little bit minty, a little bit sweet and sugary in a sense. And then it just has this unique flavor. And then I hear about something like that and immediately makes me want to try it because I somewhat understand what you're saying. Right. And it's the same process almost already like you guys are aging spirits in certain types of wood too that brings out different flavors, right?
We have a Coveted Cash, which is our experimental series bourbon. And we have one in Ambrana just coming out here soon. Wow. So, it's going to be nice.
That sounds great.
Yeah.
All right. Well, listen, we're hanging out here. It's Mike and Artie. We're at the Appalachian Brewing Company location in Mechanicsburg this week as we bring you the podcast. We have Jason and Jen from Shy Bear Brewing in Lewistown. We're going to talk a little bit more about their flagship location and more about what's coming up, not only around the Shy Bear spots in Central PA, but Appalachian Brewing Company, what we can expect here the rest of the Oktoberfest and looking beyond. And we'll be right back on the Appalachian Brewing Company podcast. All right, and welcome back, everyone, to the Appalachian Brewing Company podcast. Mike Parker, Artie Tafoya, and we have the Ufemas here. Jason and Jen from Shy Bear Brewing, our special guests this week. They have locations up in Lewistown, which is Mifflin County?
That is.
Yeah, Mifflin. And then they also have a spot over at Fresh Market in Hershey. Appalachian Brewing Company right now, Artie, is full-fledged Oktoberfest. It's not only the beer, it's the food, but let's start with the beer. What kind of thing, if I'm coming in for Oktoberfest around the brew pubs, what kind of beer is on tap that's special for this time of year?
Well, the classic is the Oktoberfest Marzen. The Capona Fest is what we call it, and that is named after the festival that we have downtown here and over the Labor Day weekend in Harrisburg. And that beer we've been making for 20-some years. It's just very solid, nice, that little bit of maltiness, a little bit of toast to it in that light sort of amber color. Just a wonderful beer. We also have Pilsner and Hefeweizen, other German styles. Of course, Mountain Lager is a Dortmund style, so that can be thrown in there if you're looking for 4 good beers that you'd want. Perfect. That are sort of that German style. And the menu, too. We've got some great food. The appetizers that we always have the potato pancakes, beer cheese, that spread served with small pretzel nuggets, that type of thing. And then always, my go-to is always the schnitzel. I love the schnitzel. Mm-hmm. No matter how it's made, just that pounded out piece of meat with the gravy over it and mashed potatoes. You can't go wrong.
There was an awesome picture of the schnitzel on Facebook the other day, and it had me wanting to get in here if only I could. But yeah, Oktoberfest is in full swing, and of course you can find out more about the menu and the beers in advance by going to abcbrew.com. So guys, Shy Bear in the Oktoberfest celebration a little bit now too?
Oh yeah, we just had our Oktoberfest last week. We basically do a week-long festival with music on 4 days in a row. The Saturday of Oktoberfest was 3 bands all day long, and that's a big part of our identity, I would say, in Lewistown is the live music side. But the German food was so popular that we actually have decided to keep some of those items on for the fall menu. Nice. And it's definitely beer. There's a reason why German food does so well with beer is that they really do complement each other on the textures and flavors that go well with the types of beers that are being served this time of year. So why fight it when those food pairings are already kind of created for you?
And our schnitzel sandwich was about 3 sandwiches in one. It was so huge. So yeah.
Love it.
Yeah, it made me thirsty.
What is it like? So when remember when we talked about like Irish food, like back in March, right? And we talked about what goes with the pairing and the somewhat blandness, I guess, of Irish food, right? And then the complement of different beers. But what is it about the German? Like what do you think that is, Artie and Jason? Do you guys have anything to like lend to like what the flavor and like you mentioned like how they complement each other?
Yeah. Well, I would probably say, in my opinion, and you can get really geeky about food pairing, but really it really comes down to your own personal taste with what makes sense for a pairing. But from my palate, and what we would like to stress, is the idea that you have counterpoint flavors. So they don't necessarily have to be together as something. So I would never suggest that you had something that was a pretzel. Like we've never made a pretzel beer.
Yeah.
For the reason that we want there to be a real contrast to when you have a pretzel, that you have something that has malt, that has a little bit of noble hop spiciness and bitterness, that it actually is working with something that is a tad sweet, that is a tad toasty on its own. Mm-hmm. So you want to have complementary flavors, but you also want to have contrasting flavors for me to be able to make it something that is memorable of a flavor, which is honestly a lot of the reasons why we make certain beers that we make, that we don't do when we make sours. We don't make them really fruit forward as much as other people, because we still want people to eat while they're there. We don't want to have a dessert in a can, because then we find that people are eating less if they feel like all of the flavors that they want are contained inside of the glass.
Right.
So we want there to be enough to suggest that there's a flavor, but the balance of what we make in the beers, what we make in the food, should all be telling a story. And I honestly would say that Appellation does the same is very we're kindred spirits in the types of beers that they make. Is that it's about the balance with all of these beers too.
So Jen, what's your go-to beer? What's your go-to style any time of year?
Usually it's a lager. So at our place, we have a Bavarian Pilsner, Logengard. So I like that one. So with the German food, I think it's salty, it's sour, and then having that Bavarian lager, which is kind of just that even, but also has that bitterness at the end. I think that really complements the German food. So I typically like to go for that when I'm eating. But if I just want to have a drink and I'm not eating, I usually go for sours. I just like to have that puckering. And I like sours that are actually sour rather than sweet. So I like to drink that when I'm not eating.
Right. Yeah. And Artie, you guys have definitely dabbled in. I mean, you guys have several sours now in that fruit series. And so, what's your philosophy? Is it to offer different flavors? Because you can go. I have been noticing. Obviously, it seems like you go into any brew pub at this point. It seems to be for a while a lot of different stylings of IPAs, right? And then we sort of got into that now that the hazy IPAs kind of worked their way into it. And then if you're going somewhere, there's now you're going to find a couple of sours on the. Do people come in specifically looking for sours now? Do you find?
Well, there's definitely a sour clientele out there, that's what they drink. I think, the one thing about sours, and I don't know about you, Jen, if you can have, like 2 seems to be the max, and then they'll try something different, or maybe even 1 in a lot of cases. Ours, we serve them in a goblet, and that allows people to have maybe more than 1 if we have 2 or 3 on tap at that time. So that's always a nice thing. And for us, more so, it's just gives people something a little bit different to try. We go from a creamsicle style to a pineapple upside down, that type of thing. They're all sort of after a little bit. They almost go after sort of pastries a little bit, sort of different types of, like the one we have coming out is the Noblest. That is going to be an apple crisp sour. So that's our fall, using a nice apple base and that type of thing to create, just different flavors for people that are somewhat seasonal.
You talked about, Jason, that you don't want it to all be one, like a meal in a can necessarily. Like, so I reminded me of like the everlasting gobstopper or whatever, or was it the gum that they chewed, right? And it started off with in the original Willy Wonka, right? It started off with an appetizer, then it was like a whole Thanksgiving meal in the gum, and But the one thing I actually like about, like when you were talking about some of the sours, and the one that gets me is my favorite is the pineapple upside down. The plays well with others because I love, first of all, and just personally, like everybody's got their favorite, but pineapple is probably like my favorite fruit flavor. So if I can find even an IPA that's like has that like pineapple tone to it or something like that's good for me. I love the pineapple upside down sour, but the one thing I love about it is that sets it apart. It's kind of like next level is that it has that kind of, you almost can taste the graham cracker crust in it. You know what I mean? And it has that, so it is almost like hitting you on different levels. I love that flavor. Do you find that too? I mean, so Jen, speaking of sours, as someone who's like, do you like when you have that different level? Like you're like, wow, I'm picking up like 2 or 3 different things in here.
Yeah, I don't think I would want more than 2 or 3. I think sometimes the sours get a little too complicated with the flavors in it. I want to taste the sour and then sometimes the sweet and have that puckering. And then I do like when a graham cracker taste kind of comes in there too. I think sometimes it can get overcomplicated with it, but so I like to keep them a little more simple. But yeah, I mean, I think sours right now are probably the type of beer that have the most going on, and you can do such a variety with it because you can make it sour and spicy, or you can make it sour and sweet.
Right.
Probably my favorite beer at Shy Bear, and this has been in the past a little bit more. It's been a while since I've been up there, only because we tend to be missing each other. But they have a sour. Is it a sour IPA, or is it an IPA sour?
we just call them sour IPAs when we make them. They are they definitely have a fan base and a very devoted clientele that seeks them out, but we have definitely found that some people really want to separate church and state in some ways. They are IPA fans or they're sour fans. Very rarely do we find people who gravitate to both. So we've I wouldn't say we've strayed away from them, but Roger asks if we can make one, I think, every production meeting, and we're saying, well, yeah, slow your roll. We'll get another one going.
I think it just surprises people because they think it's an IPA because it looks like an IPA, and then it hits them with the sourness, and so if they weren't expecting it, it's kind of like, what is this?
I gotta try that. Yeah, that sounds outstanding.
Sounds like a road trip.
But I don't know how you feel about it, Artie, but I would say that a lot of the time that people who would try a sour, sometimes accidentally, then become sour fans. Like you almost have to force them into the idea that it's there, especially if not necessarily at our place, but I would say if you're getting beers or you have a picnic at your house, or you're just crushing a particular beer all day long, right? Then you start to get, if it's one particular beer, and I feel this way, and I think a lot of other people feel this way, that you get a general distaste for what you've just been having the entire time. You drink one sour, and I feel like it's a reset button on your palate. I think on your just general, like everything about your body, your chemistry. I think it's one of those things that actually can kind of almost flip the switch, and then you feel a little bit better. But to that point, is I think you can't be drinking sours all day. I think that would be tough to do.
Yeah, that's right.
It is. It's funny. I actually, back in the day when I used to come into ABC Harrisburg, I used to like pregame Harrisburg Senators games, in the summer. And it would be one of these deals where I'd have so being there with a couple of friends or something, we'd have 2-3 beers. But I would always wait till, this was back in the day when even IPAs were still, I'm talking like early 2000s, right? So even before IPAs became like the thing to do, there was IPAs. You guys have always had hoppy trails, and then there was maybe another IPA or something that was around, like something a little bit stronger. Was there a double around back then, Artie? We
used to do. I think we came out with Out of Focus in 1988. I was making really nice aromatic IPAs, but they were really British style. They were truly, just a ton of hops in there of those British styles, and they've really changed over time. I ran into a guy, and he's like, do you make IPAs? And I said, yeah, we make and he goes, not any of those new IPAs. Those aren't even IPAs. Those were designed for somebody who doesn't even like IPAs. And I was like, well, okay, everybody has their own opinion, but I certainly love the different styles of IPAs that you see out there now, and I'm a big IPA fan, so
yeah.
It doesn't matter to me.
It's become my point that I was getting at was when I would come in, I would always drink something kind of like milder. Like I'd be like, all right, my first two are going to be like a Water Gap Wheat, a Mountain Lager, or maybe like a Purist Pale Ale or something like back in the day, or Jolly Scott. And then I would always save the IPA for last because I felt like this is before I think more people were drinking them kind of like, I'm just going to go in and drink 3 or 4 IPAs. Like it was back when it was that was such a, I guess probably coming out of college and just buying cheap beer and going to keg parties and stuff like that. And then actually having some money, buying good beer, having a great place like ABC where I didn't find these new styles. All that hops to me was foreign. I didn't know what I was doing, So to me it was like I couldn't have any more after that. That was my reset button, and until like we went over to City Island and started drinking another beer during the game. But I see what you're saying. Like I like that. Every once in a while I'll do that too. I have a keg at the house right now. It's the ABC Hinterland Hefeweizen, and I think that's getting kind of low, so I'll have to probably refresh. Yeah, but everybody loves that beer this year. But you have a few of those, and then it's just something else, man. To throw in a sour or something like that to hit the reset button. So now I'm justified because Jason told me that's what I should do.
Yeah, I'm the authority.
That's awesome.
We do a lot of resetting.
Yeah,
we do a lot of resetting.
guys, it's time to reset.
Yeah,
We typically do it with bourbon, but
Yeah, well, that works too.
that's all right.
So I did want to ask you more about when people come into Shy Bear in Lewistown. First of all, make sure I know what Let's talk about your website, your social media, so people can find out where you're at, and then let's talk about what it's like. What's your location? Kind of what's the personality of your location? What does it look like inside? What does it feel like when I go in there? What can I expect?
Yeah, well, we'll start with, just everything shybearbrewing.com, Facebook, Instagram. Shy Bear Brewing is all synonymous as that. I don't think you'll find us on many other social medias at this point. But our vibe, honestly, is, I think, and I don't want to speak for, I'm sure you'll have a different kind of take on it, but I think what we've designed is that when you're there, you can have a different experience depending on where you are in our place. Depending on the weather, depending on the entertainment. We do have a tap room that has more of a modern tap room feel. We tried to do something that wasn't straight industrial or something that was straight rustic. For our area, we kind of felt that for Lewistown, those places already exist. We wanted an elevated experience to dining, and we also felt that if the decor was better, if the bathrooms looked modern, I think people treat the facilities with more respect than they do if it looks like an industrial space. So that was part of our original plan when it was mainly tap room and a little bit of outdoor seating. We didn't realize how much outdoor seating and our environment of being outside was going to be the bigger draw than the inside. So on a spring, summer, fall day, the only people who are sitting inside are people who don't want to be listening to the music, or they want to have something that's more conversation based. Or if the weather is just so hot that they're seeking air conditioning. But
I think it's become a destination place too, because we are dog friendly, we are kid friendly. We have a lot of room outside for the kids to play, so the parents can enjoy themselves. The kids can go, playing ball in our yard. We can have up to 5-6 dogs at a time sometimes, so it's really dog friendly. People love that. We have cornhole boards that the kids and adults can play. So it's kind of, families like to travel there and spend a couple hours there. And then as far as entertainment, we have such a variety that we could have one crowd one night and a totally different crowd the next night. Like this week, tomorrow we have Hair Force One, which is kind of like a hair band, cover band. And then, the next day we have karaoke. And then Saturday we have music trivia. And then on Sunday we have our house band, RCB. So every one of those would bring a different crowd. So I think that's why people like us. They kind of look on any of our social medias to see what's going on that week, and then almost pick a day that they want to come. And then there's a lot of days that we don't have things going on if they just want a chill day, and they can do that. And I think people that do go inside like to just go to the bar and maybe have a date night, something like that. So I think we have a little bit of everything for everybody.
Nice.
Yeah, it's really nice. I remember going up there and I'd see Jason in the back. They started with the patio that was about, this big, and then it went to this big over here, and then they added on this big, and then all of a sudden there was a small stage, and then there was a big stage, and I was like, yeah, that's great. There's, it's, in business we try to figure out where we're going, and you're like, well, this is what people are asking for, this is what we can provide to them. But I will tell you, he was always out there with a hammer in his hand, and you were out there helping as well, but it just, it just shows that with people in small business, you just got to listen to your customers, and you got to continue to provide all the things that they want. And after a while, you start going, I think I'm about good on that.
Yeah, I think that's where we are now.
I'm hoping that's where we're at.
Yeah, that's right. But then you take advantage of all the infrastructure you built, and I'm glad to see you guys growing, and it's a pleasure to have you guys here today.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Our pleasure's ours.
And last thing is, I just want to know about the logo and the name. Is there a story behind so just your logo? I'm looking at your shirt right now. It's a cool looking flannel. It's like a sporty type. Yeah. It's almost like a fishing shirt type flannel. It's got the
it's the soft but yet breathable.
Yes.
Flannel.
Nice. And
we
the
all need that.
Brewery approved.
Yeah,
Brewery approved.
definitely brewery approved. And the logo is a shy bear. It's a bear with his kind of like hiding his eyes with his paws. What's the story?
See no evil. The story was we were trying to think of everything under the sun, something that was going to be interesting for the name of the brewery. Nobody could come up with something that everyone agreed on. My father wanted something very historical in nature and something specifically talking about our part of Pennsylvania, and I didn't necessarily want that because the future of where we would be almost
Tied
bound,
to that.
yeah, bound to where our physical location. So we wanted something that was fun and playful, but no one could agree on anything. And it was end of the fall, and we had just brought in a bird feeder the night before. And on my track cam, looking back on it, I actually have the video footage of this bear that was looking for the sunflower seeds from this bird feeder. And the next morning, it was still seeking that out. And we saw the bear, and it was startled when it saw us, ran down into the field by where the brewery is, but probably when it saw us, thinking, well, maybe they're bringing the bird feeder back out. So it came up, and it was like tiptoeing back up to the house and was looking at us, and we were in looking up at the window, and we were in the window looking to see if it was still there, and we started playing this game of peekaboo, and it all just kind of came about from there. I mean, there's a lot of other funny stories about because when it actually originally ran into the field, it was almost like tiptoeing, and so we were thinking of Dancing Bear originally, and notwithstanding finding that dancingbear.com is straight up porn site. So we were like, that's done.
Yeah.
On top of that,
You have to look up your names.
Yeah. We're also
That's true.
We're also thinking this is we don't want people to think that this is a Grateful Dead place, even though we do Grateful Dead music. We do the Mighty River Band and Crippled But Free have played there several times, so we like that music, but we didn't want to be penned into, well, this is that. But obviously the porn designation was, we didn't want that to be the first thing that you went to.
Jason's also a drummer. He plays with a lot of the bands that come up there, and you have your own band, right?
Yeah. The Ryan Carter Band is kind of a staple as far. I hate to say house band that you did.
They play a lot.
We play there a lot, but we
Everybody else refers to it as the house band.
Yeah, we're kind of that. But it's but yeah, I mean, honestly, the whole vibe and then the logo and everything that kind of came from that was the imagery of what, obviously something that wasn't taken, something people could spell. Something that was playful yet evocative of the area or something, so it all came together, and I think, and then obviously in the very beginning, as we're still trying to get open, go through regulations and all of the things with zoning and everything that we still deal with today, you needed something that would sell merch, get the name out there, get stickers, get any kind of idea out there that your marketing is making an impression. And I feel that it was a good decision.
Oh, everybody loves that logo, and we sell swag. We can't keep hats. We cannot keep them in stock. People love that logo on the hat.
Nice. Yeah, good job on that. A logo is super important, right? And it just helps. It's a big part of marketing, and when people volunteer to wear your stuff, right?
Yeah.
And they want to wear it, and it's not necessarily. And the fact that your shirt there doesn't have any words on it, but it has a great logo. It's a conversation starter, and that's a great place to be when you're a brewery and a small business.
That's right.
All right. Well, hey, Artie, I want to thank our friends here, Jason and Jen from Shy Bear Brewing, with being with us today. As always, thank you. Breweries support other breweries, and from hearing what you three have, the history you guys have together, and the camaraderie, and what I'm sure you've leaned on each other for ideas, and just a sounding booth at some point.
If nothing more than to commiserate over over things.
Yeah, over things a couple times. Yeah.
Yeah, Artie, do you want to? I left give you the last word as is. I guess whatever here.
Well, no, I just happy to have you guys here. We still work together in different ways, and that's awesome. And just has always been a pleasure working with you guys. You run a quality business, and you're a good quality family. I see your family first, and I love that about you guys, and the entire family there up in Lewistown. And look forward to visiting you often and having you down here as often as we can as well.
Yep.
Thank you.
Ditto.
All right. Well, Artie, we're going to load the back of the pickup truck up with a bunch of dogs, and we're going to head up to Lewistown. Check out with the Ryan Carter band.
Yeah, that's right.
No, kid.
It's Sunday.
All right. No, it's been great. It's been great learning about the business. Check them out. Shy Bear Brewing in Lewistown, over at Fresh Market in Hershey. The website,
ShyBearBrewing.com.
All right. And for all things Appalachian Brewing Company, abcbrew.com and at abcbrew on social media. For Artie, it's Mike, and thanks so much for tuning in once again, the Appalachian Brewing Company podcast. See you next time.
Cheers.
Cheers.